all three phases kind of leaning in one to one another, the complementary football, the turnover margin, the starting field position, those are some of the things, the third and fourth down emphasis. That's where I'm seeing the team connect together, the right look for this player, for this one. Like, those are the things that we can see. So captain-wise, defensively, Dorrance Armstrong, and on special teams, Jeremy Chin, and offense, Jaden Daniels. So it's going to be a fantastic environment for some football. So all that said, glad to get it rocking with you. Want to start off, John?
Let's start with the injuries then. With some of the guys that hurt. Austin.
Yep, Austin cleared and doing great. So he had a really good week.
Brian Robinson.
Yep, Brian is trending in the right way, and we'll take it all the way to game day. But he's doing great. Noah Brown. I want to just make life easier for you. How about that? Then we don't have to read between the lines.
Okay.
Noah Brown is out. Cleve Farrell is out.
Okay.
Then the other guys, we'll work it all the way through. And from a IR standpoint of who would return, Adam and I will huddle up tomorrow and decide if we want to activate any of the three guys.
Okay. And then
that's easier, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
You're welcome.
How will you list Brian Robinson?
Sean can follow up with you right when we're done.
And then how important then, given all that, especially at like receiver and all that, the versatility that you guys have versus like relying on one other guy aside from Terry to have that versatility, how important is it for situations like this?
Yeah, and we're bummed that Noah won't make it in for this week because he's added a lot, to our team. But we are pumped about the guys and the opportunities that are there, and the next person in that space, in different roles and different ways. You've seen it from Oz and Diami and Luke and others. So we'll miss Noah for sure, man. Like, he not only is like a on the pass game, but the run game, the size, he's really made his impact so far.
And then with Cleveland, it seemed like there was optimism last week that he might be back for this week. Is there, is it just slower, or is there any IR consideration for
There's none, and he's doing well, man. And it was just the fact, like, we're always going to, just do the best we can for these guys, and when they can absolutely, do their thing at full speed. It was awesome to have him back here at practice. And so he's definitely trending in the right space, John, but just not quite there just yet. But he really had a good week.
Since he took care of all the injury stuff, I'll go elsewhere.
Okay.
With Jaden, there's obviously been a lot of talk about the virtual reality tools he used at LSU that you guys have continued to use here. As you've watched it now up close, how have you kind of seen it? What have you kind of thought of technology and how it's helped him?
Yeah, I think the technology has a lot that's really good because it's customized to us and to our plays. And then the other thing that's so unique about it, it can, travel, whether you're home, the road, shot clock, the location. So the specifics of a game to make it as realistic as you can into your training. So, it's been a really strong tool. We were impressed the first time that Adam and I saw it was on a visit for us in Baton Rouge. And then to see it customized, obviously for us, that's a really big deal.
And I guess right now it's for the quarterback, but when you see how teams are limited at times during the offseason with what they can do with players on the field, this would seem like a way to get in more reps, but not putting the guys in physical, situations. What do you see perhaps about the future? Is this something that maybe, I'm sure it's expensive, but that could be implemented across the board and maybe as a way to supplement?
Yeah, they've actually started some other ones too. So it's think like the blitz pickup and the protection. So how does that look? And so running backs from scanning to identifying different people. So for an offensive line or for a running back, I think that's probably the next step that you could utilize to get extra reps that you can do quite a few during the week.
You've talked about the O-line, their improved communication. What has kind of led to that? Is it just reps, or have they done things off the field that you've seen that have really helped them build that chemistry?
I'd probably say there's a combination of both, Nikki, and the reason I say that, in the training camp, obviously the three interior guys got most of their work together, and then Brandon and Wiley were walkthroughs and that. So to see them just spend this much time together in the meeting rooms early, they really have a good connection. So if it's during special teams, they're together. So I think it's the amount of hours that those guys have spent together. Obviously, the work on the practice field, there's nothing that takes that place. But I do think there's a combination of both on and off the field. And examples of like last week, of being together that long, going through stuff again, like all those things help.
And the rotation at left tackle, could you see keeping that through the season? Do you like how it's working with two guys there?
You know, I think as we're going through it, like constantly just evaluating it and taking a look at it, and I think, you know, the more that we see, you know, it'll level itself out, you know, moving forward.
I'm sure you knew that.
Yeah, it's all good. Bring them on.
One of the things you said after the Tampa game is starting to shape your identity after a game like that.
Yeah.
Conversely, how much do you start to see that identity after a 3-game win streak going into a game like that?
Yeah, I think the way I would describe it is that it's building. And part of that identity, John, I kind of referred to it a little bit earlier, the complementary football as well, to know what does that look like at practice? You know, what does that look like of the guys supporting one another to get the exact right look, knowing that, hey, this is, you know, the field position part of special teams, that the look has to be right, the way we cover kicks. Could be, you know, going through a blitz drill today, you know, to find the exact looks to nail it. And so identity is going to take a while. As we're in 4 games, we're starting to grow into that. And I like, you know, that I knew it was going to take time. It's not something that's done overnight, but it has to be done again and again. And so it's growing, and it's not where we're going to be. And I, you know, would hope 2 months from now we can look back to say, yeah, it's grown significantly since then. But I like the toughness, the attitude that the guys are showing for sure.
Do you learn as much from these streaks, a negative or positive? Is there any one where you learn more? Or is it all about the same that you learn from each situation?
Yeah, I try not to get like the too high or too low based on the wins and losses, but the one obsessive part that I do want is us getting better. And like that's the thing I would say we chase the hardest. There's skill work that goes in, and this will, hopefully I can say it correctly, John, the skill, the better you get, like the stronger your confidence gets. And so like that's why we put this work in on the skills, because then now like I can really lean into that. I can really trust that and the routes. And so that's why like the timing and having guys, you know, at practice together, it was rightfully so. You guys asked, hey, is the communication going to be okay with the offensive line and people there? And like that was a legitimate concern because of all that goes into it. But to me, the skills, if we continue to work that also develops the confidence, you know, to play well. And so I love that you have to go and do it in tough environments, and because that's part of our game too. And so it does feel like, I don't know for you guys, but it's felt like we've been on the road for a long time. You know, we had a couple in the preseason and even to start the regular season. So for us to get a chance to be here and home with the fans, like, man, we're really pumped about it. But I wouldn't say I'd lean in too hard to a game.
On the tech front, again, you are a hands-on coach. You've been doing this for a long time, and you're in the trenches. You're with the guys, you know, all that. Is it unusual when some of the coaching starts to go off the field in these ways? Has it been, not just with this even, but just over time?
It's actually it's one of the fun parts of coaching, because nothing really stays the same, and there's things that evolve and move forward with this. So years back, I can remember looking into like a simulator, and Stanford was one of the first people like on the VR side of things. And I remember being on the campus there and looking at it, and it wasn't a football related one yet, but I was like, I'm on a beam over a city, and I was like, you know, 4 inches off the floor, but it felt that way. And I think being in those environments when like using the Oculus, and you can use sound, you can use all the, you know, the stimulus that goes into it. I think that's a really cool thing. Then, you know, the old way, here's the playbook, you know, where you're really making things come to life. So I would say as like a lifelong learner, and I love to teach, I like new ideas and new things. Like we've looked at this before, and maybe years ago, you're like, this ain't ready. Not this specific company, but like that way. So to see it really come full circle and come to life, I think it's good. And I think probably some of the biggest benefits are for also players that aren't getting a lot of reps. We talked just about Jaden, but like anybody, maybe you think about a backup quarterback, you know, who's not getting the same amount, or a running back who needs more blitz pickup work. And so there's always ways to train the guys to get more reps. And so I think it's really cool. And I'm sure, you know, it'll keep evolving as we're going, but tools like this, I really like them.
One more O-line question. Bobby Johnson, what did you like about him to want to bring him on your staff?
Yeah, I think coming into it, you know, wanted somebody that was an excellent teacher. And I think at that position, Nikki, like that's where a lot of development takes place. You're coaching a lot of guys, and the development of that position, it's not like just, add water and play. And so I thought that's, was the first criteria. We looked at a number of guys, and one of the strongest recommendations was from a friend, Brian Dayball, who had worked together both in Buffalo and New York. And I really, I've known Brian for a long time. And like any job, when you're looking for, you want to, ask as many people as you can. And what really came through for me was strong was like the teaching, that part of things. And that was really important to me. And so I've really been impressed by the work that he's done so far. I love the connection with him, Darnell Stapleton, who I actually had as a Bill Walsh fellow to work with when I was in Atlanta. So I've you keep somebody in your mind, and okay, if there was a chance, he's somebody I want to add. And Shane has done a good job here too. So the three of them have a nice blend. They're not all the same, and so they kind of balance, each other out in different ways. So, all right, you guys have a good one.